Tune in for Patrick Ching's Painting in Paradise.
Aloha, I'm Patrick Ching, and thank you for joining me on Painting in Paradise.
On this episode, we'll head to the beach. We'll see how the colors of the ocean change like the colors of the rainbow, going from yellow, green, blue to purple. I'll show you how to draw a sunrise shell, and then how to paint beach scenes. All this and more on an ocean-going episode of Painting in Paradise!
This episode, we learn to draw and paint the hibiscus.
Do you know that Hawaii's state flower is the native yellow hibiscus known as Ma'ohauhele? We'll visit with Rick Barboza of Huiku Maoli Ola, a native Hawaiian plant nursery that grows several rare varieties. I'll show you how to draw a hibiscus and then how to paint one. All this and more on a flowery episode of Painting in Paradise!
Hawaii's monk seals and green sea turtles have been around for millions of years. When their numbers got low, they became protected by law. These animals are returning to beaches they've not come to for hundreds of years. This causes excitement and sometimes conflict. Honu and Hina is a children's book that was painted with aloha by many artists of all ages. This story of coexistence answers some questions about the history of these animals, but more importantly, about their future.
Available at the Kilauea Lighthouse, Patrick Ching Art in the Princeville Center, or online at patrickchingart.com.
One of the favorite pastimes in Hawaii is strolling along the beach. Not only are the wide open spaces good for our minds, but the views are so beautiful and interesting. Some fascinating things wash up on shore. Some are brought by the wind, and some by the tides. All kinds of shells wash ashore, minus the sea animals that once lived in them. One of the most beautiful seashells in Hawaii are the Langford's pectins, which are commonly called sunrise shells. Their bands of color and expanding ridges radiate like the rays of the sun. Now get your pencils, pens, and whatever you want to draw and color with ready, because next I'll show you how to draw a sunrise shell.
Alright, now I'm going to show you how I go about drawing a sunrise shell. And this is going to be easy with some familiar shapes that you know and love, okay? Now remember in the beginning, I'll be using a pen, but you can use a pencil, and remember to press softly. How are we going to press? Softly, that's right. We press softly in case we want to erase or ignore some of those lines. You ready? You ready? Ready? Everybody ready? Okay. I'm going to put a triangle, but it's going to be an upside down triangle right over here. And then when you got your upside down triangle, I'm going to put like a semicircle, and it's going to start to look like something you're familiar with, and you're going to say, hey, wait a minute, that's like a shave ice. And you'll be right, it is like a shave ice. Well, from here, I'm going to put a couple of wings out here. And another one on that side. And now you start to see our sunrise shell shaping up. But wait, there's more. I'm going to start to put a line right up the middle from the bottom to the top. And then I'll put 3 more lines on either side, okay? 1, 2, 3, and on the other side. 1, 2, 3. And now that I got my sunrise shell formed up, I'm gonna go with a darker pen, and this time I'm gonna shape it a little more of how I want it, okay? And for instance, I'll put a little bit of a curve instead of a point over here. And I'll also put a little more curve over there. Now at the end, I'll start to get what I call a scalloped look. Okay, now I'm going to do those little wing things on the side. And they also got little lines in them projecting out. Okay, and now I'll just go over those lines I did initially. I don't know if your art has sound effects like mine, but you sure can. All right, now the fun part. Give that sunrise shell some beautiful patterns or designs like that. And you can just start out like that, okay? Oh yeah. Each one of these rows can have all different colors. I can't wait to see you color yours. Now I'll put a little background, make it look like one of my paintings. Maybe like the ocean is flowing right here. And some birds. And don't forget your signature.
Now that you've drawn your sunrise shell, have a great time coloring or painting it. You can use any color combination. There's so many to choose from. Ta-da! When we return, I'll show you how you can paint the ocean.
Hey friends, it's me, Patrick Ching, and I'm here to introduce you to the Papahanao Mokuakea Song and Color Book Project. All you gotta do is just go to www.papahanaomokuakeasong.com, and here, I'm gonna do it right here. See, it's on the computer. And then when the website comes up, it might start playing some music, and if not, you just press this little button right there and bing, boing. Magic! That's Kavika Kahiapo. And he's telling us about this song. You can even download the coloring book pages and the ukulele chords. I'm going to scroll down a little bit.
Scroll down and get the free coloring book pages.
Right there, you can download the coloring book pages, print them out, and color them. See, look. Now this downloads better with a laptop computer rather than a handheld device. Kavika Kahiapo.
So if you want to learn a lot and have fun doing it, download, print, and color the pages at papahanaomokuakeasong.com. papahanaomokuakeasong.com.
Sacred places need our care. Papahanaomokuakea. All right.
Okay gang, today we're going to do a gradient C from the horizon all the way to the shallows and onto shore, okay? With our sky, and then I'll just lay in some sand color and go into my deeper ocean. Remember that the ocean moves like a rainbow in its color pattern, yeah? The yellowish color of the sand turning into aqua green water as it gets deeper, and then blue and even purple at the very horizon. Did I say purpler? I kind of tried to. So I'm going to make pretty quick work of this sky.
You can blend your sky from the lower to the upper color by using the techniques shown on my online video lessons. And now to prepare my colors for painting the ocean.
The colors you want to have available are aqua colors. I got some phthalo blue. I've got some violet. And right here's an important one. The light color of sand. I'm going to get a bunch of white with some yellows and some yellow ochre. So yeah, that's looking just about like what I want. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is cover my bottom half of my painting with my bright sand color. So I'll go from the bottom. I'll probably paint it till about there. Okay, I'm going to stop my light sand color right there. The next thing I'm going to do, I don't even have to wash my brush. I'm going to dip right into my aqua color. And I'm going to paint this almost all the way to the horizon there. In fact, I'll kind of go almost all the way up there with this beautiful aqua green color. Oh man, and you can probably tell I love this color. But yeah, we can go ahead and do this technique, you know, the fading technique of one color into another. We don't need to get so perfect in the ocean. In fact, we don't want to get a perfect gradation in the ocean. We kind of want the mottled look. What we're learning is how strong the green is compared to the yellow, okay? The green totally outpowers the yellow, but not anything compared to what we're going to do with the blue and how it outpowers the green. Okay, so that's a darker blue, a phthalo blue. And I'm going to do my best to give it a horizon.
Then cover the rest of the ocean with the deep blue and fade it into the aqua green.
Okay, remember how strong I said the blue is going to be? Even stronger than the green to the yellow. You're basically telling your viewers how deep the water is by what color you decide to use. I'm going to take an area and get it a little darker. And the reason I'm going to get it darker like that is that's where the water ends and the sand is really wet. So I'm going to get colors like yellow ochre. I might even put in a little orange. Maybe even a little burnt sienna, that rusty red color. I'm going to get it a little bit nice and darker, right around there. And adding a more of a mottled or patchy look in here. I mean, you can make waves like that. The best thing to do is really just go to the ocean and look at this, or look at photographs and study them. Just see how water twists and reflections happen. In the shallow water, you have like these diamond looks. And look how very little bit of this photograph is actually light color, that light aqua color that we love so much. Most of it are these darker shadows. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of violet. Take a little bit of blue and some of that aqua color and make some darker sand shadow colors. The diamonds are going to be tiny back here. They're shadows on the bottom of the ocean. Okay, so I'm just kind of making tiny dots back there. And as they get closer, they'll get bigger, okay? There's one thing that's going to happen on this ocean. There's going to be reflections on top of the sea. The kind of reflections that most people just don't even notice. So that is our base coat for our ocean that goes from dry sand, wet sand, shallow water, deeper, deeper, deeper water off into the sky. Now we're going to do glazing techniques. Remember, we're going to do transparent layers over our already dried layers. I'm going to just give a very thin, quick coat all over the painting. Okay, if I dried it well, if it's dried well, it's not going to come up on this sponge. And you want to press softly. Okay, always want to press softly on this.
I'll make the farthest part of the ocean a little bit deeper purple, and then
start with some distant little spots and keep that brush pretty thin. I'm going to kind of move my hand in little zigzag shapes, okay?
off in the distance. Keep it very thin. As it comes closer to you, they can get a little thicker. I'm gonna plan for some foam resting in here. And start doing little zigzags like this. I'm making where I think, if I had foam, little shadows of the foam might rest. And in a painting I did called Greenpeace, you can see a good example of this. Okay, try and look at the shadows under the foam. Now those shadows are also going to tell you where the light's coming from, because they're either going to be, to one side of the foam or the other, yeah? And I'll start to put my foam where I want. I'm going to start with the line of foam kind of right above that dark line right there, okay? You can come down and little side to side, okay? Really try to understand how the water is resting on the sand, okay? You see what I'm doing and why I put those shadows before I even put the thing in that's causing the shadows? I'm going to get a little bit of a purplish color, white or pink, magenta. I'm going to put some of this color over the wet sand. Okay, these are things that happen on the wet sand. That's one of the most beautiful things of painting, that little reflection of the sky on top of wet sand. Okay, study it, get to know it. I'm going to get the colors of the sky, and this is the reflection of the sky on the water. Okay, it's always there. And it's a great thing to be conscious of, and it's a great thing to put on your paintings. And as we're coming down, our spaces between our lines can be bigger. Okay, understanding water, every ripple is a wave. When it stands up and faces you, you're looking into the deep bottom. Okay, like there's a wave right there. The parts that are flat, reflecting the sky, which I'm putting in this blue right now, those are the parts of the ocean that are flatter. And you'll notice that if you have clouds in your sky, in those places you're going to have more reflections, brighter reflections all the way down. Your strokes should go very horizontal as it gets higher to the horizon. Now the last thing I'm going to do before I finish this up is I'm going to add some brighter highlights to this foam. Remember I started with a purplish bluish foam. Now I'm going to add the microscopic touch of yellow to that white, making it a warmer white. Okay, just a tiniest, can't even see it. I know nobody can see it, don't even try. So now I'll get that warm white and put it on select places on the tops of my foam. So if you can make your foam brighter on the top, you'll actually start to give it some form. You'll feel a little lip happening. For now I'm going to put a little bit of a little touch of reflection over there on my wet sand. Oh boy. If you'd like to get the complete lesson on painting oceans, you can get my online video course at patrickching.com. When we return, I'll show you the process I use to paint Kahalahala to Lumahai Beach. Now I'll show you how I created a painting of Kahalahala to Lumahai Beach. When a friend of mine asked me to do a painting of her favorite beach, I was thrilled to get back to Kauai and do it. I went to Kahalahala at different seasons and saw its changing moods. I decided to do a morning scene because I like the color of the sky and the water and the sand and the way the trees cast a shadow on the ground. Then I did a quick sketch of my idea and I was on my way. I had a canvas stretched to just the right size and brought it over to Kahalahala to sketch out my plan. In the studio, I mixed the colors that I wanted to use and put down a first layer to give myself a preview of my painting. Once I had my first layer down, I started with my second layer, first with the sky, then clouds, then Mount Makana, then the forest and the ocean and the sand, and finally the leaves on the trees. Then I got to start playing in the different parts of the painting. Here you see me working on the shallow water and sea foam. I gradually started to build up the rocks and then the waves. If you'd like to get a good understanding of how you can paint waves, you can get my Painting Waves video at patrickching.com. Using a subtle mist is a technique I use to create lots of distance on my paintings. The colors I use in the mist are not just white, but tend to be bluish or even purplish at times. Remember, as artists, we're like illusionists. We're creating miles of space on a flat canvas. I like to set up my palette, putting the paint on the edges of the palette, then mixing paint and working towards me. Most people in Hawaii call this a false kamani tree because it resembles our native kamani tree. But it's also known as a coral tree or a coastal almond, and it has fruits that are edible. You can eat them. But as a painter, the thing I love about them the most is that their leaves change color to yellow, orange, and even a deep red. Rainbows start with a purplish color on the bottom, followed by blue, then yellow, green, and orange, and finally a red at the top. The biggest secret to painting rainbows is to get the color just the right intensity by adding the right amount of white to each color. I paint my rocks in layers. My first layers are kind of bulky, just showing me what is dark and what is light, followed by additional layers of more detailed versions of the rocks. When painting the ocean, I first start off by painting its bottom. Having an understanding of what the ocean's bottom is like will help you determine what colors to use. For the reflections on top of the water, I use a glazing technique of putting transparent layers reflecting the sky all over the ocean, except for the places where the little waves and ripples stand up and face you. And be careful, because once you see the world through the eyes of an artist, your world will never look the same. As you can see, creating a painting can be a really rewarding experience, from the time you have the first idea to your sketches and underpaintings and overpaintings, mixing the colors you love, trying something out, seeing if it works, and the feeling of joy when it all comes together.
Thank you for joining me on Painting in Paradise. I hope you enjoyed learning how to draw the sunrise shell and how to paint a beach scene. I'd love to see what you did, so why don't you send a picture of you and your art to aloha@patrickching.com. Bye-bye.